Before we dive into the roaring engines, bootlegging routes, and high-speed evolution of NASCAR, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss our deep dives into car culture and motorsport history. Buckle up. This ride starts now.
Believe it or not, professional stock car racing is a purely American invention, rooted in the era of Prohibition that gripped the U.S. from 1920 to 1933. The ban on the sale and transportation of alcohol, enacted through the 18th Amendment to the Constitution, led to a surge in the black market, one of its key components being bootlegging, the smuggling of homemade liquor. One of the most critical parts of this underground operation was transporting moonshine from remote southern villages where it was produced to cities where it could be sold and consumed. To evade the police, bootleggers relied on the most powerful versions of production cars available. These cars were heavily modified to carry hundreds of liters of illegal whiskey while outrunning police vehicles. And yet, they looked like ordinary factory cars. It didn't take long for the drivers and their mechanics to become highly sought after in criminal circles. What they did soon became a profession of its own. But when Prohibition ended, the demand for their services plummeted. Still, their need for speed remained. Former bootleggers started racing each other, first on dirt tracks through forests and fields, then on public roads, and eventually on the famous beach in Daytona, where informal races had long been held. That's where William Henry Getty France, better known as Bill France or Big Bill, entered the scene. A garage owner near Daytona, he was a passionate racing fan and often raced himself. He was the first to realize that this could be turned into a legitimate business. Organized races with prize money and ticketed admission. The problem was chaos. No rules, and organizers who often ran off with the prize money. That all changed in early 1948 when France founded a private organization called the National Association for Stock Car Auto Racing, or NASCAR. It began organizing official races for stock production cars. By 1950, the first NASCAR championship was held at the specially built Darlington Raceway in South Carolina. And in 1959, the Daytona International Speedway hosted the first Daytona 500, which soon became the season's crown jewel. The rules were simple. Only factory bodies and chassis allowed. Modifications were limited to welded doors and reinforced rear axles, providing basic safety and helping prevent rollovers. Cars that raced between 1948 and 1966 are now considered first-generation NASCAR stock cars. They varied greatly in size, design, and engine power, which led to the creation of several classes: modifieds, convertibles, roadsters, and stock cars. The latter became the most popular and the mainstay of the series. As NASCAR grew in popularity, automakers began paying attention. In the early 1950s, stock V8 cars from Hudson, Oldsmobile, and Chrysler dominated the tracks. The more they won, the better they sold in showrooms. By the late 1950s, manufacturers started fielding factory teams and producing special components and engines for racing. General Motors was among the pioneers, debuting the legendary 1957 Chevrolet 150 Black Widow. A stock-looking sedan received 170 factory-modified components, staying within the rules. Its secret weapon was a fuel-injected 283 cubic-inch V8, making 283 horsepower, 1 horsepower per cubic inch. In 1957, the Black Widow crushed the competition, prompting NASCAR to ban fuel injection, a rule that remained in place until 2012. By the early 1960s, nearly every manufacturer had a NASCAR program, and the arms race began. This led to the birth of legendary engines like Ford's 427 High-Riser and Chrysler's 426 Hemi. By the mid-1960s, the idea of racing production cars had been flipped on its head. Manufacturers were building race cars and then making limited street versions just to meet NASCAR's homologation rule: 500 units required. The slogan, "Win on Sunday, sell on Monday," became the motto of the American car industry. But this gave automakers too much control, so Bill France stepped in. High-riser and Hemi engines were banned. In 1967, NASCAR entered its second generation, cars with factory bodies but custom chassis. Tuning shops like Holman Moody and Banjo Matthews joined the game, bringing aerodynamic innovations. Ford was the first to embrace aerodynamics, introducing the Torino Talladega in 1969, followed by the Dodge Daytona. This sparked the short-lived but intense Aero Wars. Cars reached speeds of 300 kilometers per hour, and NASCAR once again revised the rules. Starting in 1971, race cars slowly began losing resemblance to street cars. Despite this, NASCAR's popularity kept rising. In 1979, the Daytona 500 was broadcast live nationally for the first time. A last-lap crash and fistfight between Donnie Allison and Cale Yarborough lit up interest in the sport. The second generation lasted until 1980. While the cars still looked somewhat stock, visual differences were obvious. In 1981, third-generation cars hit the track, using factory body panels and a standardized 110-inch wheelbase, a rule still in effect. Engine power was unrestricted and aerodynamics took off. In 1987, Bill Elliott clocked a record 342 kilometers per hour at Talladega, a record still standing. That same race, Bobby Allison's Buick went airborne and crashed into the fence. NASCAR responded by mandating restrictor plates to limit speed. In 1992, the fourth generation began. Gone were any real ties to street models. The designs were more uniform, cars were wider, taller, and faster. Drivers like Dale Earnhardt and Jeff Gordon became superstars. But crashes remained deadly. On February 18, 2001, during the final lap of the Daytona 500, Dale Earnhardt died in a crash that didn't even look that serious. It shocked 17 million viewers and forced NASCAR to introduce sweeping safety changes. Mandatory hands devices, 6-point harnesses, safer barriers, and more. NASCAR also began developing the Car of Tomorrow, COT, launched in 2007. These flying bricks prioritized safety but were widely criticized for their awkward looks. They remained in use until 2012. Despite making racing safer, no driver has died in NASCAR since Earnhardt. The COT era saw declining fan interest. Environmental concerns added fuel to the fire. Race cars consumed up to 117 liters per 100 kilometers and over 7.5 million liters per season. TV viewership peaked in 2006 at 19 million for Daytona. By 2020, it had dropped to just over 7 million. In 2013, the sixth-generation car debuted, but fan opinions remained divided. The seventh generation, Next Gen, was slated for 2021 but delayed by COVID-19 to 2022. These new cars feature 750 horsepower engines, carbon fiber tubs, independent suspension, and adjustable aerodynamics. They look more like showroom models, but, as with the last 30 years, have nothing in common with actual production cars. How true NASCAR fans will react? Only time will tell.